Hello, everyone, and welcome to Concordia University's Fourth Space. Thank you for joining us for today's event, celebrating 8 years of CUCCR, an artist market and a retrospective celebration. To help situate you, we are streaming to YouTube live from Fourth Space, which is located on unceded Indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. Here at Fourth Space, we work with our university community to mobilize knowledge by co-creating daily activities that examine research questions and projects in development here at the university. We're going to keep this nice and short, so it is my pleasure to hand it over to the manager at the Office of Sustainability, Cassandra Lamontagne. Cassandra, welcome.
Welcome, everybody, to our 8-year anniversary celebration of the Concordia University Centre for Creative Reuse. Thank you for being here to honor our journey and to celebrate the impact of creative reuse at Concordia. I'm Cassandra Lamontagne in the Office of Sustainability, where it is our mission to transform the institution into one that is defined by ecological vitality, economic integrity, and social equity, by driving tangible change and fostering a thriving campus community of sustainability leaders. Thank you very much to the Fourth Space for helping to make this event such a beautiful success today. Thank you also to the artists and makers who came to share their beautiful works with us. After the presentation, we encourage you to wander around and take a look at the beautiful artwork that has been created with salvage materials from the Concordia University Centre for Creative Reuse. I'll begin by acknowledging that Concordia University is located on unceded Indigenous lands. The Kanien'kehá:ka Nation is recognized as the custodians of the lands and waters on which we gather today. Tiohtià:ke, or Montreal, has historically been known as a gathering place for many First Nations, and today is a home to diverse and other peoples. We respect the continued connections between the past, present, and future in our ongoing relationships with Indigenous and other peoples within the Montreal community. In the Office of Sustainability, we also recognize that Indigenous peoples have been stewards of the lands and waters of so-called Canada since time immemorial, and that Indigenous nations are the frontline communities most severely affected by climate change, biodiversity loss, and other sustainability crises. Many of the most important sustainability progress taking place today is due to the leadership and knowledges of these communities, and we commit to act in ways that are in solidarity with their rights and sovereignty. 8 years ago, the Concordia University Centre for Creative Reuse, otherwise known as CUCCR, opened its doors to the community with a bold vision to make the university more sustainable, accessible, and equitable. The mission of CUCCR is to divert materials from the campus waste stream and to deliver them to the community for free, and in doing so, contribute to a culture of reuse at Concordia. In housing the first university reuse center in Canada, Concordia challenges the notions of consumerism, unaffordability, and waste that many associate with pursuing an education, especially in fine arts. Many tons of materials have made their way from departments, studios, and residences across Concordia into the artwork, upcycling projects, offices, and homes of our community members. Numerous workshops and skill shares have increased education and brought reuse further within reach of the average Concordian. Furthermore, many faculty have integrated CUCCR into their coursework and even their research projects, allowing us to further the impact of this program through iterative learning. From today's speakers, you will hear about all this and more. We are deeply grateful to the numerous departments, student groups, and individuals who have supported CUCCR through donations of materials, financial contributions, partnerships, projects, and visits. You are the heart and soul of CUCCR, and your joyful participation has turned it into the vibrant community space that it is today. Before turning it over to today's presenters, I'm pleased to share that this event has achieved a Platinum Sustainable Event certification due to the organizers' ambitious efforts to reduce the ecological footprint of this event and to increase its social benefits. The Sustainable Event Certification Program is run through our office, and we encourage others to check out the Sustainable Event Guide and maybe even get your next event certified. You can learn more at concordia.ca/event guide. Without further ado, I'll present today's speakers and let them introduce you to the magic of CUCCR in their own words. Anna Timm-Bottos, CUCCR founder and Sustainability and Reuse Programming Specialist in the Office of Sustainability, started the Center for Creative Reuse as part of her MA in Art Education in 2017 to build community around zero waste goals. Arrien Weeks co-developed and co-coordinated CUCCR for many years as its material and tool literacy coordinator and as the sustainability technician in facilities management, while simultaneously pursuing his MA in art education around sustainable materials pedagogy. Meredith Marty Dugas is the Sustainability Ambassadors Program Coordinator and leads many students in their volunteer work at CUCCR. Jonah Doniewski is a fine arts student, CUCCR volunteer, and the chair of mobilization for Students for CUCCR, a new student coalition who have mobilized to secure multi-stakeholder support for the Center for Creative Reuse. Thank you again for being here today and for all your support of CUCCR. It is deeply appreciated.
Ooh. Well, you said everything, Cassandra, so I don't know what to say. But it has been 8 years, and we've done a lot in 8 years. I wonder if we could get that up there. Is that possible? Yes. We're going to touch on impact for a brief moment because really it comes down to the people that we see before us in this room. The people make CUCCR, and we'll get to that in 1 second. But from a waste standpoint, from a numbers standpoint, this is the impact that we've had in the last 8 years. We've had over 23,000 visitors come through the doors, whether it was in our tiny cage across the street in the hall building basement, or our much bigger space in a semi-basement in the Grey Nuns building. We've diverted over 52 metric tons of materials in that time. We've saved our members over $560,000 in those 8 years, which at the end of the day, that's a lot of money that y'all didn't have to spend in the store. More recently, we've started to understand how many courses we've impacted in those years, and we're now over 60 courses, integrated in 60 courses across the four faculties here at Concordia. We've also had people involved as volunteers and given over 2,500 hours of their time to help keep the doors open in that time. And we couldn't do it with all of them. So CUCCR runs on community. This is very, very clear every day. And Irfan put it really, really well. It is more than just the space. It's the people that make it special. And it's the reason why we keep coming back, whether as visitors or people that work there, because of that energy that you all bring each and every day when you come in and visit and see the new materials that come through. So you can see on the left here, Steve and Matt. And I don't know if we talk that much about the folks at distribution enough, but they are the unsung heroes of how all the materials, or I would say probably 80% of the materials, got to CUCCR in the first place. And this is one of the first deliveries that they made to that cage in the basement across the hall, across the street in the hall building, to help us build it, to literally build it. We built it from those scraps in that dolly. To these first interns that joined us to help make it happen in those early days, we actually, we were meant to open in a few days' time 8 years ago, but we had the first snowstorm in Montreal in like 60 years. And Concordia decided to have snow day on the 15th of March in 2017, and so we delayed it, which was great. Gave us a little bit more time to figure it out. The old Dean of Students, Andrew Woodall, which encouraged Anna to apply to the CCSL grant and got the big crazy, what was it, big hairy idea money to be able to open those those doors that first year. Again, great interns and volunteers helping us load all kinds of interesting materials. This looks like outside the EV building. And so I've been talking a lot about this cage, but this was that empty space. It was 800 square feet back in 2017, and we turned it into this space. And it wasn't much, but we made it work. And people were able to come down there and find those materials, those magic materials that could help them in their projects. And then not shortly after, maybe 6 months later, somebody tuned us into this old laundry space in the Grey Nuns building. And this is another intern of ours, Harry, who is really interested in getting more hands-on with the materials and helping people upcycle, particularly wood. And so we turned that space into the space that you know very well today. So much more space, over 3,000 square feet. And we've done a lot with that space in the last, well, since 2019. Want to talk about Skillshares? I can press that down.
So we talk about the people, but really it also is the expertise and the skills that they all bring to the space. So you never know what is going to pop up, what our kind of programming is going to be. Over the last 8 years, we've had incredible Skillshares utilizing these reclaimed materials. So this was emerged from a need of somebody requiring a stand for their pop-up market. And so we said, oh, let's put this together and have an event around making your stands, your sandwich boards. We've had textile workshops, we've had paper making, we've had book binding, we've had a reclaimed plastic sculpture making, we've had incredible people coming to show what they know how to do, as well as just to be there together to figure it out. So the wonderful thing about a Skillshare versus a workshop is that we're not experts. Nobody is, it has to be the only person that has that knowledge. We're really able to share the information and share the way that we've done it, and then allow the materials and this messy space in the depot transform into a place to learn and try and build new things. So programming over the year has really been, it comes and goes, and with all these different ideas, depending on who's in our community at the time. We've also had amazing artist residencies where we love to celebrate our birthday. This anniversary party is a really fun way to bring people together every year. So we've done artist residencies primarily, where artists are selected in the winter and show their work in a space. It was FOFA Gallery or VAV Gallery for a time. We've done it in a little bit everywhere, but For Space is our current and lovely home to show work. This year, obviously, we decided to do a community show different than an artist residency. Artist residencies are magic, but they also require a lot of support ongoing. And so since our team shifted and changed this year, they're trying to figure out a way to harness the energy of the people was really important. So yeah. This was a COVID year. We were all closed, and we were able to send out care packages across the entire country. We sent out 602 care packages, and people made materials, made things with the materials that we sent through the mail. It was very fun. We did live through the For Space. You can actually find all of those videos on their YouTube channel, which is really a sweet one. Pivot. Now this was our last artist residency where we had a cohort. This was 2022-23 with Maya Jane, who helped organize that. These incredible artists came together to celebrate their work. And then last year we had a symposium instead, where we kind of gathered people together to present knowledge and do knowledge sharing. This was in April. So we just really wanted to kind of show the diverse ways, the many different ways that CUCCR has grown and changed over this time. And it is always changing based on what we have, and there's always these cycles as well, of where people come, they arrive as students, they may be finding us for the first time, they bring what they have and they share, and then take what they need. And then we also, when they're ready to move out, we have a lot of students that live in residence. An important thing to highlight is that they move away and they have to discard a lot of items. So we do an annual residence reclamathon, which is about 3 tons a year, where we collect clothing, bedding, stuff from them and redistribute it to some local charities as well as some on-campus things. So these are all things that like help kind of sustain the work and show it that it's also Reuse Center is not just a place for artists only. I mean, many of you make work, but it also is a place to exchange things that you might need for your home and for your life and for your future. So many materials. I mean, this is a little slideshow of some cute stuff that's come in over the last 8 years. A lot of wild and magical materials. And it's all weighed, as you know, to get those metrics that we were talking about. But we've seen a little bit of everything in the Reuse Center, and it grows and changes. Like right now, it's very full of office supplies. Like never buy a file folder or a binder again. You know, it also has a lot of fabric and paper and wood. It has a whole collection of materials. And when you say materials, it can be hard to imagine. So although we sit here surrounded by the work that was made from all of those materials, I really encourage you to come and see what it looks like in its raw form. So yes. Oops. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right.
So one of the projects that we ended up doing back in 2018? Was the Dean of Students office, as well as a few other offices on campus, departments approached us and said, hey, what if we approach the engagement awards a little differently? So these are awards that are given out to outstanding volunteers, folks that go above and beyond in their student life on campus, sustainability awards as well, and safety awards. And so we said, okay, well, let's look at some of the materials that we have in the Reuse Center and reimagine them. And so this is a bit of a snapshot of the different awards that we've created with materials over the years. The wood ones in the top middle are actually part of an old boardroom table. This boardroom table lived in a boardroom on the 7th floor of the Hall building, just before that space was renovated into what you know now. The sort of plastic coasters, that was last year's awards. So a partnership there was made between CUCCR and at that time the CP3 project, so they were recycling plastics on campus. They've since become Recycla, so recycle but with an A at the end. I encourage you to check them out. They're continuing off campus. And then I threw a little sneak peek of this year's awards. So we're taking tiles that were never used on campus or were extras from a project, and we're laser engraving and inking them for this year's awards. So if you're part of the awards in a few weeks' time, you'll see them there on display. We've had such great volunteers in the last 8 years, people that just keep showing up because they're really into organizing things or buttons or wood or just meeting like-minded people. And they've really, yes, there's been paid staff that keep things going, but it's really the larger group of people that make CUCCR what it is every single day. They added an extra vibrancy to the space. I mean, you can see this is our volunteer appreciation party recently. You know, we do the work, but we also have fun together. And more recent volunteers, and I say volunteers in a broad way, and Meredith is going to talk a bit more about that in a moment. But we have sustainability ambassadors, which is a great program. We also have people that show up and be like, I'm going to volunteer for one day. It usually extends beyond one day. They're like, this is great. I'm going to come back next week, and they do. So without further ado, Meredith.
Thank you, guys. I can't believe it's been 8 years. I started my position as the Sustainability Ambassadors Program Coordinator 7 years ago in June, while I was still a student. And it was during a period of a little bit of transition. We didn't have a sustainability manager at that time, so we were really flying solo. And I remember some of my very early meetings was coming to Anna and Arrien and saying, "So what do you think my job is?" Because it was brand new. We had sort of a one-page paper and we were going from there, but it's been a wonderful 7 years. CUCCR has really been our place where we have played with and figured out the problems and the challenges of getting people involved or finding ways to build them up to the next level. And you two have both been like the people who are always yes-anding whatever I was coming to you with, which I really appreciate, that trust and that guidance too. Like CUCCR was a great space for me too to come to as a student while I was trying to balance work and school and everything else. So yeah, I'm very grateful. And the Sustainability Ambassadors Program is what it is, partly because of the partnership that we have been able to develop. We are taking applications for our 2025-2026 year. We take students who can be part-time, full-time, it doesn't matter, from the undergraduate level to the doctoral level, and we ask you to dedicate 6 hours per week to the program throughout the academic year, and we help you design and implement group projects of your choice by the end of the winter term. What's amazing about this is because we're bringing people in from totally different areas of study and levels of degree, is we really get to learn from each other's expertise. And so we meet once a week for 2 hours to learn, and then we also go out and volunteer in the community. One of our central places from the very start, that we could not have started this program without such a reliable place to send volunteers to, is CUCCR. So you've probably, if you've come into CUCCR at any point in the last maybe 5 years, 5 years. It took a little bit of time for us to design to where our program is now, but the last 5 years, you have been at a shift with a sustainability ambassador who is there for 2 hours every single week, and they have learned so much from being able to come into CUCCR. So we want to encourage you to apply and continue to do some of that work. But we also know 6 hours is kind of a big time commitment. So CUCCR is, of course, open to drop-in volunteers during their open hours. You can do that through our Sustainability Volunteer Program whenever you're on the CUCCR website, or if you just show up and ask to sign up for a shift. They will help you do that, and we add that towards your co-curricular record. Otherwise, there's always lots of brainstorming ideas for getting involved. So I really encourage you to keep coming to CUCCR and get involved. Our applications for the Ambassadors Program will actually close at the end of March, but we do have an info session on March 25th if you would like to have questions. Otherwise, I'm going to be floating around until the end of this, so please come say hi. I'd love to chat with you about it. Or we have a ton of amazing past, present sustainability ambassadors here tonight, so I'd love to introduce you as well. But thank you so much, CUCCR. We wouldn't be here without you.
I'm going to intro Jonah in a moment. Okay. Well, it's going to be a hard one for me. Last year was particularly challenging for CUCCR, as a lot of you in the room know. With a lot of cuts happening across the university, some cuts needed to be made at the center as well. And so the team shrunk, capacity shrunk, and so it's doing what it can to continue to support you in the projects that you're working on by keeping the doors open. But it's also through the amazing support that we've seen from students, and Jonah, you're going to talk more about that in a moment. But the reason that this whole space has existed is everyone at every level of this institution has made it happen. From the plumbers that I first met outside the cage in the hall building 8 years ago that were like, wait, what are you doing in there? Like, well, this is what I'm doing. They're like, oh, it feels like we've had one already, but it's good that you're like really establishing it. To even, Graham Carr supporting us throughout the years, all the deans in the different faculties. I see the Dean of Fine Arts here today. Thank you for coming. From all the faculty members that have either integrated us fully into their courses or said, go get your materials at CUCCR or else kind of thing, to interns, to TAs, everybody that's helped us. Thank you so much. And so Jonah, please come up here and carry on.
Hi, hello. My name's Jonah. I'm an artist. I'm also a representative of SF-CUCCR, which is the student organization that essentially has been fighting for CUCCR's life for the past year. The name stands for Students for CUCCR, informally called SF-CUCCR. It's this amazing team that we put together over the past year that has been working really, really hard. And my part in it is as the head of mobilization, which just means I talk a lot, really. We formed during the urgency to save this organization, since we heard that it might be shutting down last year, that this year it might not, or next year, I guess, that it might not exist at all. And its potential end really sort of pushed us to do something. That's our logo, by the way, if you're curious. And when we teamed up last year during fall 2024, it was sort of this impromptu and informal grouping of people that all just really cared about CUCCR. And we teamed up because the CUCCR needed a voice for students, and it needed a voice for people who could speak out about what was going on in the financial situation, and to express our confusion and disappointment with the way that the university was dealing with budget cuts. At the time, we believed that the CUCCR might be shut down because of budget cuts and because of low amounts of income coming into Concordia. So they had to take away organizations such as this. And we thought that was really unacceptable. So despite this, we were fighting for its life, and we did everything we could. We had a lot of events. This was one of our first general meetings up there. You can see me in the front, my big bald head, and a couple of our other members. There's Julie, Madeline, Josh, and some other people. I can't actually see them, but anyways. We launched an appeal form pleading for its life in October, and the movement was called Save the CUCCR. It was pretty huge, and it got a lot of attention from a lot of people because a lot of people didn't know what was going on. And this was the first time they were hearing that CUCCR might not exist. So we proved that CUCCR meant the world to over 1,800 people. Currently, we have 1,800 signatures on this appeal. I'm sure some of you in this room signed the appeal, and it really means a lot to me and to everyone that cares about this organization that you did. So many people, over 36,000 words were dedicated to how this organization changed our lives, changed our studies at Concordia, and changed our financial situations. And we took this message that the students were giving us to the administrative parties of CUCCR, and to convince them that we, as SF-CUCCR, and along with the students, weren't going to let this disappear. During this time, we did a lot of interviews, classroom presentations. You can see up here there is a sort of some of the statistics that came from our forum. We asked some questions. Do you feel that the CUCCR has impacted your own or others' work and lives, and their life, sorry? And 95% of people said yes. So, I mean, that's a lot of people that we've affected. And yeah, during this time, we did classroom presentations and interviews. I did a lot of interviews, documentaries. Thank you, Heath. I don't know if you're here still, but you made a really amazing documentary. And I can say that from my own experience, my life was kind of crazy at this point, talking to so many people and doing interviews for The Link and the Concordian, which are the two newspapers here at Concordia. And it was just pretty amazing that so many people were worried and cared about this organization and were coming to me to ask about it. So many worried emails and text messages, and I was even on CBC twice, which was really cool. Our biggest move at this point was the art market, and here's a couple of the news stories that came from what we were doing, the art market, and our appeal that we launched as from the Concordian and the Link. And during this art market, we wanted to gather and appreciate the support that was in the community for CUCCR and really prove that people cared about what was going on. And even though things were crazy and I was out of my mind almost, I was living off of the communal energy that's here today and in this room, that all of us care about this organization. So as long as CUCCR has an unstable foundation of funding, it's going to need a student voice, and that's where SF CUCCR stays alive. We want to open our operations to an official club. That'd be really cool because we do a lot of work and it'd be nice to be official. Bringing more people into our activity would be really awesome, and we plan to form a working newsletter. This is all next year, what's going on, and our movement will continue to fight against budget cuts and measures that cut down on CUCCR's possibility to reach the community. We want to bring back a lot of CUCCR's lost opportunities that they've slowly lost over the past year that were really amazing for the students. And we want to be able to provide students more ways to be loved by CUCCR, I guess. In the meantime, you can, if you want to help this organization and if you want to keep it alive, there's a few ways you can do that. You can either donate money, that's a really amazing way. You can follow our Instagrams. Here's one of the Instagrams, and that's SF CUCCR. That's where we post all of the news, post about events like this. You can keep talking about this organization. That's maybe one of the most important. That's the reason we're all here today, is because we keep talking about it, and we won't stop talking about it. And maybe the most important, as what I always say to people, is to go to the CUCCR, visit. The more waste that we divert, the more materials that we provide, and the more money that we save, and the creativity that we can inspire through CUCCR makes it more and more of an important part of Concordia and Montreal as a whole. With your help, all of you here today, anyone, community members, CUCCR can stay alive, and it will, because we're here to fight for it. Before I end off, here's a few QR codes that you can sort of follow. I'm going to just say some thank yous. If you'd like to scan the QR codes, go ahead. There's a few ways you can help there. But I just want to say a few thank yous before I end my little presentation. Aaron, thank you for spearheading SF CUCCR. Thank you, Maddie, Catherine, and Ellery for being really hardworking, dedicated members. Thank you to Sarah for helping me share my story on CBC. Twice, by the way. Still pretty happy about that. Thank you to the Link and the Concordian for covering our stories multiple times and for supporting our cause. Arrien, Faisal, and volunteers, thank you for keeping CUCCR running during the really hard times that we've been going through, and for staying optimistic. Your energy has greatly improved my mindset around all of that we've been struggling with, and it's a real gift to have all of you at the CUCCR. Julie, Ryan, and Josh, my friends, my dear friends, thank you for making SF CUCCR the powerful force that it is, and for making every meeting a joy, even when you're late, and for all your fighting despite your busy, busy, busy lives. You are some of the most hardworking people that I have ever known, and I'm glad to be on a team with you. And of course, a massive thank you to Anna. I don't know if you realize how much this has affected our lives, particularly mine, but it has. And it means a lot that this place exists and that I'm here today because of it. And you're the reason that we're all here. So yeah, it means a lot. Thank you to everybody here today for joining us, for signing our appeal, for caring, for supporting our movement. Thank you for coming to our events like this one, and for coming to CUCCR. None of this would be here without your collective and continued love and support. Enjoy the arts and have a nice night.
Well, it's amazing to hear from all of you. And I just wanted to say that the efforts of SF CUCCR and the community outcry really worked. We have a commitment from the university for 75% of our annual operating budget for next year. Yes, amazing. So grateful. As well as some very generous contributions from student associations that were directly in response to the students that went out and asked for that. So another $25,000 that was raised from student associations. Incredible. Really big. And we're still waiting on a few little pieces, but I can confidently say that we'll be here next year. There is no chances that it's closing next year. Yes. So, really, thank you all. And we still need your help. Like Jonah said, the work is not done. We want to be thinking, a few years in ahead instead of just what's in front of us right now. But at least we can breathe a sigh of relief and celebrate here today that we are secure for the next year. And I want to really encourage you all to take a look at this incredible artwork all spread throughout here, because it really shows how people can come together to create something really magical. And yes, I'll leave you there. Thank you. Thank you. There's one more housekeeping thing. We have a little survey if you'd like to give us feedback about our event. Please scan that on the way out. And also, if you would like to purchase or make a donation, there is a checkout station kind of at the back. And if you have any questions or comments or thoughts for me, please feel free to come up after. Thank you from the Fourth Space. Also, we love you.
And thank you, Anna. Thank you to everyone who's come out to celebrate CUCCR. What an achievement, everyone. Another round of applause. 8 wonderful years. Here's to 8 more. Thank you, guys. Thank you to everyone who has come in here today to activate this wonderful event. We're going to be closing this all up now, but hang out, party for the next hour while we're still open. And just a quick reminder that this conversation is already available on our YouTube channel if you'd like to revisit or share it. So that's it from us. Please join us again at Force Space and have a great rest of your day, everybody.